Hi everyone, it's Kevin Magpie's YouTube channel. Welcome back to another video on my channel. And today's video I'll be doing what do I expect from us this week's clash against the Adelaide Crows. Now if you are returning Kevin Magpies, welcome, like, comment, share. If you're new, like, comment, share and subscribe. Now we are playing the Adelaide Crows on a Saturday night in which I will be streaming. Now for me there's been a few problems that's been happening. I feel like there's been a lot happening behind the scenes. Now there's a few signings which I'll get through that. It just feels like, I think it's because it's a longer season, you know, you do need that rest a little bit more than others, but I just feel like if you're going to rest some senior players, you do it against the teams that aren't in top 8 contention that you can afford to get away with. Now I think when you look back on the Fremantle game, and I definitely do look back at that because that was the difference where you didn't need to do it. Like the Gold Coast game, I understood, we got within the kick and then we only lost by a point. So like we've done well defensively in a couple of those games as well, but we haven't been able to score as well. So I'm a little bit concerned in the terms of how we have played. To me, the Richmond game was a good win. We won by 6 goals. That was a complete different story. But then, obviously, the Brisbane Lions, 27 points. That was that wasn't as bad as performance, but there was a lot that happened as well. And the Hawthorn loss was pretty bad. I want to go on by the defence for a minute because I feel like that needs to be spoken about. Billy Frampton, and I'm going to jump to his defence here. He's played one game in the AFL. The media needs to give him a break, right? Because it did help that Howe went down. We don't have many options in terms of who can play as that third key defender role. We do have Charlie Dean who could come in and, do you do that with Darcy Moore and Billy Frampton or you don't. But it feels like with that defence, when you have Charlie Dean against the top 8 teams, he will tend to struggle. Alright, and that's not a knock on him, and it's definitely not. Because I feel like people need to get off his back a little bit and realise that, hey, when you're up against a top 8 team, it is so hard to do it. And there's been opportunities where, unfortunately, you have to play players that have been killing it in the VFL, and you've got to give them form. But Billy Frampton, for me, is that key defender when he's just one-on-one stopper. He's not as quick, right? So, again, that's where he gets exposed a little bit, but it's not as bad as in terms of where Darcy Moore can intercept, right? Darcy Moore is more of your free-roaming defender when, even though he's a key defender, but he's an intercepted defender as well. So he's got the pace to get a fist in there and mark the ball as well. But it definitely feels like with Billy Frampton, I think he needs time in this week. I would play him this week. You can potentially play Charlie Dean and have Billy Frampton on the tall key forward like your Thilthorpe or your Walker sort of thing. And you can have Darcy Moore on Taylor Walker, and you have Charlie Dean on Darcy Fogarty if you decide to do that. And you might get exposed a little bit with that. But I feel like, to me, when our defence has been poor when it comes with how we move the ball on. And I think now that's where it generally gets us. We need to really start making sure that we knuckle down our defence a little bit and get back to the way that we were playing. And when we were attacking, it was great to watch. We were scoring. And when teams now starting to hold us up a little bit, we're not as daring as what we used to be. So I think now that tends to be the difference in the way that we wanted to play. There is going to be a few things I will talk about as well, and to me, I think it's the coaching stuff. I need to look at the coaching stuff. I need to find out what is going on. I know Bobby Hill should be back this week, and you think Geordie will be playing this week as well up at the Adelaide Oval, and Bo McCreary should potentially be back this week as well. But we need to have a look at some speed. I know Manny has mentioned as well. I've mentioned it in my videos where we need to do speed as well, and we need players that can come in and play that faster brand of footy. But it's also the way that sometimes that some of our players aren't as quick. And sometimes you need to get that speed into the game, so therefore you can work hard up and down. Especially coming to ground. So that is a concern for me personally, that we haven't seen it. We just haven't seen the speed that we need. And I know that Ron Still's quick. Ed Allen's not as quick. We know that for a fact. Will Parker is definitely quick. Quainer is quick. We know he is. Nick Dacos is very quick and he can use the ball really well. Apart from that, Crispy's quick as well. We just need some speed in that midfield where we can get that burst. And Bo McCreary's quick because he's got the endurance and he's fast at tackling and that sort of thing. Bobby Hill is quick. So we need to add quicker players into the team where we can get that run. Now, if we decide for a replacement, maybe Half or Parker might be that type of matchup where we might go for it. So I do feel like the coaching staff need to have a look and go, okay, well, we look at this, okay, well, we can get some speed, some players with pace in there, we can give it to them and they can attack and attack and attack. That's probably the reason why we're not performing as well. And we're in this bit of form slump as well. And we did this in 2024 and we won the flag. And do you want to do it just yet? I thought I better wait. But now's the time for me to get back into doing this and really getting into the work as well. Number 3 for me is pretty much, I'm going to look at this as a pattern behaviour. Our clearance games. Now, we need to start winning clearances. Now, I want to mention the Gold Coast Suns game in terms of stats, right? Because it feels like to me, we're not winning clearances. We were down minus 13 in clearances, right? So when we're even in hitouts, we should be winning the clearances. We're 9-7 in the centre clearances, but the stoppage clearances, 39-24, so we're minus 15 in that. We need to really, again, start having players in that midfield who can start winning clearances and we can start dominating. And that's the reason why that, teams are getting us off our feet a little bit because they're moving the ball quicker from a clearance situation. I know we won the hitouts plus 10, clearances plus 10, plus 2 centre clearances, stoppage clearances plus 2, yet we still lost the game by a point. In a game that we probably should have won, to be honest with you guys. And that's probably the reason why. The Richmond game, as much as I need to point that out, and I'm not having a crack at anyone here, but when you look at the clearances again, right, hitouts minus 8, clearances plus 3, plus 2 in the centre clearances, and stoppage clearances plus 1. So again, we need to start winning more of the clearance works and start doing more work again with that. The Brisbane Lions game, again, this is where it affects us. Hitouts were plus 6 in that. 34-51, so minus 17 in the clearances. 12-13 in the centre clearances, so we're minus 1 in that. 22-38, so we're minus 16 in the stoppage clearances. That's not good enough. And again, that's another thing that we need to really start working on. And then going by the Hawthorn game, oh my God. It's like we don't know what we're doing. It really does feel like that. Plus 10 in the hit-outs, plus 5 in the clearances, plus 1, minus 5 in the clearances, minus 10 in the hit-outs, plus 1 in the centre clearances, and stoppage clearances minus 6. So we're falling short. Again, we're falling short in contested possessions and uncontested possessions as well. But that's the reason why. That's the difference in the way that we want to play. If we have speed in there that we can rely on, like Nick Dacus, John DeGoey, that sort of thing, where we can get our running game going, that's where we can be at elite best. We need to start winning more clearances, and that's the only way it's going to take to really win the game of footy. So that's probably another way. Number 4, look, between you and me, guys, we need to get back to our best footy, and we need to start winning contested possessions, uncontested possessions. We need to have numbers around the footy, and we just need to not make too many mistakes. We're making far too many mistakes. We're fumbling the ball. Our forward entries isn't as great. So we need to really start working on that at training and start hitting those kicks inside 50. And just be smart and get your teammates to come towards you. Come and lead a mark. And if there's another option, take that quick option as well. And that's another thing why that we are struggling in that department as well. Number 5 is our goal kicking. Our goal kicking has been pathetic, has been poor. Now, I'm not going to look at the current game because that's where we won. But 8-15, guys, like how hard is it for us to kick accurately in front of goal? I'm not talking about the rush behinds because, yeah, some of the kicks that do fall short, and sometimes we need to be careful with that. But also the ones that touch. I'm talking about the ones where you miss 6 times to the right, 2 times to the left, and you hit the post twice. That was against the Gold Coast game. You look at the Fremantle game as well, 11-12-78. So you look at that and you're thinking, okay, well, our goal efficiency isn't great. We missed 3 to the left, 2 to the right. We hit the post 3 times. 3 was rushed and 1 was touched. So no one was touched, the kicks are falling in short. So if you take away the shots that we should have kicked against the Dockers, well, you pretty much guarantee you're going to kick more goals than behinds. Then the Richmond game was 13-15, but I'm not really worried about that because we got the win, right? We did get the win in that. But I will say this, there was only 5 rush behinds. You take away 5 rush behinds, it's a different ball game. But again, there is a bit of a pattern here. We're missing 8 times, 5 to the right, 3 to the left, and we hit the post twice, 1 on each post as well. That is a little bit concerned. When there's set shots that we need to kick, they're the ones that we must kick as well. Now, against the Brisbane Lions game, I can tell you that we didn't kick straight. I can sure as hell tell you that we didn't kick straight. We only kicked 10-5, but we had our chances during that game where we had to kick some goals. We missed 3 times. That's still pretty accurately in front of goal, but it's the way that we do play sometimes. And when you look at the Hawthorn game, again, 6-10-46. So you got to look at the way that you got to play and you got to look at how we can be better. 1 was touched, but we missed 8 behinds, 4 to the left, 4 to the right, and hit the post once. That just shows you that this amount of shots that we are having, we're not kicking them. So we need to really work on goal kicking this week, and that's probably the reason why that we are struggling a little bit. Number 6, I want to say this, we need to, our game plan. We need to get back to our game plan and tactically as well. And it's gonna rain, I believe, in Adelaide. So, like I said on Black and White United YouTube channel on that live stream, I definitely do think that is potentially that We may have inaccuracy, but we need to take our chances more often, and we need to really start hitting that scoreboard as much as we can. Otherwise, we're just going to be in trouble. First quarters is an issue. We need to come out really well in that first quarter. Normally our first quarters are brilliant. So we need to get back to that. And we need to start playing full quarters. Again, we're giving up leads. We gave up leads against the Bristol Lions. It wasn't a bigger lead, but it was an issue there when we had it. I look at the Fremantle game, and I can tell you for a fact that we were in front. Right? We were in front by 22 points in that last quarter. That should have been the win. That was when we need to start putting teams to the sword and put down on the throat. I'm not worrying about Richmond because, again, we won that game. But against the Brisbane Lions game, where we got onto a roll there, we were only 7 points in front in that first quarter. But again, at times, our game plan is that we allow Harris Andrews to take these marks. We allow Sam Collins to take these marks. We're allowing key defenders like Sisley, Brass, and Battle taking intercept marks as well. So we really need to start working on that as a team. Our game plan, where we want to move the ball. At times, yes, we may need to go slow, but there are times when we need to go quick. When we have the lead, we need to go and put teams like Fremantle away. We need to put certain teams like the Brisbane Lions. When we get that lead, we need to start doing it. We need to start doing it from the start and keeping that consistency. We can slow it down a little bit to go, okay, let's catch our breath a little bit. And I know that momentum swings are important. But again, 2 to 3 goals, 1 to 2 goals is fine. When it gets like 2, 3, 4, that's when it gets too much for us. And we need to get back into controlling that a little bit more as well. Before I end the video, I want to say congratulations to Scott Penbury signing on for another year. I think it's great that he'll break the game's record. And Darcy Cameron is recommitted at the Pies for another 3 years as well. And he's our main ruckman as well. There was rumours that, stories going out that he could have gone to the West Coast for bigger money and a longer term contracts, wherever it is. But I'm just glad that he's staying at the Pies as well. I hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to drop a like, also drop a sub. Until next time, bye for now.